Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, and today we have another edition of the Farmability Game Show, and that's where we talk about the next character that's going to become farmable in Marvel Strike Force, because next week we do have the first Wednesday of, I think it's the first Wednesday, let me double check. Yes, in fact, next Wednesday is November the 2nd. So that means that we should have the next farmable character coming to Marvel Strike Force. Now, a little caveat, I don't know if it's a caveat. Some people have suggested that maybe this is not going to happen because we have on patch release is going to be the heroic campaigns, which is going to have Wong and Cersei. So this may be that they won't do it. But I did want to do these polls anyways to see whether or not the community gets it right as far as who votes on what for the character that is going to be made farmable, hopefully. Right, and we'll see, I guess, come Friday from the blog post if they announce it. So I do this every single month, and if you want to engage, of course, I do have the polls. Of course, I'm just trying to bring up this is my YouTube community poll that I ran the other day, and we got some good votes there as well. And if you want to engage on Discord, of course, we have the poll that runs on Discord. So both of these run once a month, typically the last week of the month before the start of the month. So with that, if you want to figure out what's going on, then let's boil this down. And before we get to the numbers, I just want to kind of reiterate, recap where we are right now as far as the characters in farming, because farmability still remains the top issue. Now, it is slowly getting better, and actually this month was surprisingly impressive, and we'll see if that carries on into future months, because we still have a little bit of a fair bit of backlog that needs to be covered. But from September, for example, we only got 2 characters, and that was in the form of Echo and Kate Bishop. This was actually correctly guessed in the Farmability Game Show from September, so that was great. And then we had October, of course, or sorry, in August? Whenever I ran, this is my 3rd version of the poll. And then we guessed in September, Morbius, and that was guessed correctly by the community as well. And then we end up getting Evil Strange in the Arena Orb. So Spider-Punk isn't yes, he's more permanently farmable, but as far as the character the Scopely considers farmable, would be Evil Strange. And then we had Icarus and Cersei into the Premium Orb, and then of course we're getting Wong and Cersei in the hard mode campaign stuff that's coming. And so that, we've had 3 characters released in the month of October with offers, and we've actually had 5 characters farmable. Now, I know that some people are going to debate on whether or not premium wards, they don't consider that to be farmable, but Scopely does. And so as far as that goes, that's what matters. So we have Wong, we have the Eternals, we have Strange, and we have Morbius. So those are the 5 characters that were made farmable for the month of October, which gives us a net. This is the first time, really, we've been like, oh, you can't see it. I'm going to zoom out. Here we go. So this is the first time over here with the 2. That means we're +2. 3 characters were released and 5 were made farmable. This is the first time that we've ever been above 0. We hit 0 in August, where we had Scarlet Spider, Ghost Spider, and Dr. Voodoo, and 3 were released. So we didn't get worse. But we did get worse last patch, because I do still consider the Horseman characters as a character release. So it goes towards the total number. And the reason why it's in there is because, to some degree, and especially as more time goes on, I would consider actually Horsemen farmable, especially if they come back on a monthly basis or however long the gap is. Because as long as they're consistent and you know that they're coming back, then I would consider that farmable. And you could probably actually get more shards for them faster than any other character. So take that for what you will. And now, as far as what's left over and why I decided the characters in my patch poll, in my farm poll, because we have to get back the green. The green column is the farmable column. So we're basically at Agatha. You can see on the left-hand side here. Agatha, Madelyne Pryor. We've basically cleared the backlog now, right? Because Kestrel and Deathpool are in the Milestone Orb, so I'm not going to include them at all. Emma Frost is a weird one, actually. I don't know if they're going to cop out and do that. I didn't even consider that. Emma Frost is in the Milestone 3 Orb, but she, as a regular drop. but she's nowhere else. So I don't know what they're doing with that, actually, now that I think about that. So Agatha, Madelyne Pryor, Spider-Woman, Nico Minoru, and Phantom X. I normally do 5 characters. So these are the ones that are upcoming on the poll here. I didn't really bother to add any further than that. I think it's highly unlikely that we would see something like Dazzler or Gambit. I even think Agatha's a little bit unlikely, but it seems that some pollsters believe that it might, so let's jump on over to that. But needless to say, we're only 1 away now from completing the Darkhold team, which is Agatha. Now, how long they may want to hold on to that, we'll find out. And will we get her in November? That would be quite surprising, but actually would be a very good move for the community if that happened. Now, just a recap from the September poll as well. Morbius, so that was correctly guessed by the community at 43% on YouTube and 58% on Discord with a combined percentage of 46.3, and he was number 1 on the combined poll. And he was the character that ended up being farmable for the start of October. So the community correctly guessed that right. They also guessed it right, actually, when I did the first poll, and it was Echo and Kate Bishop, so they had the 2 highest, actually, sorry, actually, no, they didn't get that right. I think they were a bit overly optimistic on the Eternals and Icarus based on what was mentioned in the May blog post, but we've learned, we've kind of gotten better about that, so that's why they didn't get as high of a percentage the second time around. Now, the October 24th poll, now this is here. Now, on YouTube, they voted I think people on Discord are a bit more realist, and people on YouTube are the ones who want these characters, but I think they're being a bit overly optimistic. So we'll start with YouTube. 518 people voted for Agatha at 30%. 760 people voted for Madelyne at 44%. So that's the big winner here. And then the rest kind of just trickled down from there at 10%, 9%, and 8% for Spider-Woman, Nico, and Phantom X. On Discord, it was definitely, Madelyne Pryor at 61%. There's less people voting on Discord. I think more people see it on YouTube. It's only like the slightly more hardcore Boilon followers on Discord. I do recommend voting, though, as much as you can on whatever platform that you see this on. And then Agatha got 68 at 13%. So still ahead of the other 3 of Spider-Woman, Nico, and Phantom X. And I'm surprised that Phantom X didn't get a little bit more votes, because I did feel that there's a possibility they could skip ahead. He's been in an event campaign, and he's the worst one on the team, so I wouldn't be surprised. Whereas Agatha actually is still really important to the Darkhold team, and just more broadly as a character, I would say. Now, combining those all together, of course, gives the following. We have Madelyne Pryor at a whopping 47.5% with almost 1,100 votes. So that is quite a bit. Agatha coming in at second at 586 at basically 26%, and then it trickles down from there with Spider-Woman at 9.6%, Nico at 8.9%, and Phantom X at 8.2%. So, with a grand total of 2,270 votes this time around. Now, I only let this run for about maybe 30 hours or so. I did actually end up picking up the poll a little bit earlier than some other times, so that's why we didn't get as many votes total if I had left it a little bit longer. But I think this is pretty much that the community believes that Madelyne Pryor is finally going to get her time, and that's not because we want her, but that's because she's pretty useless, and therefore I think that that's kind of why she might actually come out. Agatha is second place here, surprisingly, with almost 26%. So let me know in the comments down below how likely you think either Madelyne or Agatha is going to happen. I know that you guys voted on this, but yeah, I mean, would it really be, it'd be really shocking if we got Agatha personally. I think that because we already got Wong and Cersei, either we're going to get nothing, which I'm not sure if that would be that surprising at this point in time, but it would also kind of backtrack from what they previously said, because they were pretty firm on their commitment of one character at the start of each Wednesday of the month. So if they reneged on that, it would be the first time, I think, in quite a few months that they had done that, because almost always that was in that first week. And I think that because we got Wong and Cersei, I think that it's very likely we'll probably get Madelyne because nobody cares. Whereas Agatha will wait a little bit longer. But that's just my personal thoughts. Looks like the other 3 didn't really get anywhere close. So that's the end of this Farmability Game Show poll, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And look out for next month's where we'll talk about whoever's left over at that time and where we still sit at the farmability crisis, because we're still not where I feel we need to be. I feel the character should not go any longer than, I would say, 6 months maximum. Realistically, I would prefer it to be 4. And actually, just to be clear, I want to kind of take a look really quickly, just before we end this video, on Agatha and Madelyne. So Agatha's actually been 203 days as of the recording of this video. So that is just over 6.5 months. So that's a little bit more than I would like. Madelyne Pryor is only about 6 months. So again, I would like to bring these numbers down to no more than 6 months. But we'll see if Scopely starts spitting out characters a little bit quicker than before. If this last month was in an indication of anything, I don't know. But they have this new heroic hard mode, which I think that they should, take advantage of and use this to add more characters there to make farmable. So that's the end of this video, and enjoy the rest of patch 6.5 when it comes. And until then, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. Boilon, signing out.